I'd like to play a game. Alright, guys, welcome back to another episode of Foxy Boxes map making with Sparks. So you can see here that the selection screen thing appears properly on my face now. It's fairly unwobbly, a little wobble, but it's pretty good. This is the diamond hoe. Somebody, I'm really sorry, I can't remember who, they tweeted it at me ages ago, and Twitter's not very good at being searched for stuff, so I can't give you credit, unfortunately. But somebody sent me the correct translation code for this image to appear properly on the screen. I will post that on the screen now for people to see, and which is great because we've got that working. So the other thing is that I finally got Cubic Pro to work after quite a bit of hassle and waiting to get in contact with the creator, but I can actually run Cubic Pro on my computer now. I haven't actually opened it and played with it yet, but I'm sure I will have to try and play with that at some point. So this episode, we've successfully bound this one image to this hoe, but there are 293. Wait, no, that's wrong. It doesn't tell you the durability if it doesn't have durability. Okay, well, there's a lot of different models and textures that we can apply to this one hoe item by giving it different durabilities. So my goal now is to make it so that I can change the damage value of the hoe to change the texture it displays. Now I'm going to use a video by Samosaurus6, and I'm not going to show you how to do this on camera because it's going to be me fiddle-farting around with numbers for ages. What I'll do is I'm going to come back once I've got it working, and I will show you the CSS, and there will also be a link to, and remind me if it isn't there in the comments, to Samosaurus' video showing you how to do this, because he's going to explain it way better than me. Okay, I'm back. So here we go. You can see that I've got 3 different diamond hoes in my inventory, and they all have different textures, and I've got the main diamond hoe as well. So what I did was basically I followed Samosaurus' tutorial, and there is a you basically divide, you do 1 divided by total number of textures times the texture number. And I didn't want to do that however many times one of these things has, like 1,500 or something, a lot. So I basically wrote a little JavaScript program, 1,561, wrote a little JavaScript program which generates all of the damage values for all of the hoe textures and just dumped them all into the model file, which means that there's a different diamond hoe texture for every one, but currently only 3 of them are being used. So that way, every time I want to add a new texture to this diamond hoe, I can just go into the file and just add the new texture location, which I think will work pretty well. Something I'm noticing is when I switch between these textures, it does bob down off the screen and then back up, which I'm hoping won't happen if I'm replacing this with a replace item command. The other weird thing is that you can see that if I look down, the difference between the two is very striking, whereas if I look up, they're kind of almost the same texture, almost the same shade. So we've got some shading going on, so we're going to have to make sure that we correctly light the player's screen, or possibly make the difference between these two colors more apparent so that it's clearer which one you have selected. So I guess next up we want to make it so that when I look up it selects play, when I'm looking sort of level it selects options, and when I'm looking further down it selects video terms, which should be fairly simple. We just have to make sure that it's only doing that while we are in the starting area of this game. But for now we'll just head it back over to the redstone and do that. I wonder if I can turn Oculus Occlusion off for this texture to stop it from being shaded like this. That might be something to look into, because I think you can stop the environment shading the texture. So I've got a replace item command here. It's currently only doing the first slot in my inventory. I've set my level score to 100. I'm just deciding anyone at the start screen is at level 100, and we'll go up from 100 for any special levels. I'm doing the little air quote things there, you can probably hear it. So I'm just replacing the first slot with the diamond hoe with the damage value of 1 with the unbreakable tag constantly. So if I throw this away, it's just gonna replace it. There will be items lying around on the ground, but whatever, they're invisible, so who cares. Just gonna get rid of these for now. So we need to use the rotation tag, which I believe is RY. Vertical rotation is RX apparently. So it's RX and RXM. So my RX. Okay, so my RX goes down when I look up. So if we say if the X is at most -10, maybe -20, maybe yeah, -10. So we'll go RX equals 10. Then we should be able to throw this away and it won't replace it until we look high enough, I think. Yeah, there we go. So then if we get another chain command block here and copy this and do the same thing for... Oh, hang on, there should be -10, shouldn't it? Throw that away. Let's just... Oh no, that's not right. It was 10. Okay. Really? RX of 10? Check it out. We could use the hoeing of grass to detect a right click on the selection. Okay, I think I worked it out. You have to specify the RX minimum and the maximum for it to work. So we'll copy that and do it here. So we'll go from -9 to 10 for damage of 2. Oh, why does it flip the text like that? That's very annoying. I didn't think it would do that. That's a bit of a downer. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it's not what I wanted. And it doesn't look great either. I'm not sure how to fix this. Okay, so I can't turn ambient occlusion off, as far as I can tell. Maybe I put it in the wrong place, but it's not changing the way it shades. And when we change orientations, we're getting this bumping thing, which Samosaurus is of the opinion that you cannot stop. Quite a few people said that we should use the pumpkin texture over the player's head and modify that in order to create a texture in the face of the player. Like, oh, I just placed it in the slot that replaces itself automatically, didn't I? This texture here. The problem with that is that there is only one texture, so I may use this for something, but I can only use it for one thing. Certainly not, a menu or anything like that, because there's just not enough choice. I can't change the texture based on anything. I don't think for the pumpkins. Unfortunately, I can't do that. So right now I'm stood with my back to a glowstone lantern, and it looks like we can't. It looks like it's the sky which changes the occlusion. What happens if I put a block over our head? The bottom one is still the brightest. Very odd. Yeah, look at that. Up is just darker than down. The other thing that a lot of you pointed out in the last episode is quite correctly that my login system doesn't work. So this is using the logout stat. So if somebody leaves the game, they get a score of 1, and then it teleports them, etc. when they log back in. However, this they made a good point in that the first time you log in, you won't have logged out, so you will have a score of 0 and it won't do anything. So we need to change this to simply detect when a player has logged in for the first time as well, I suppose. I wonder if we can give players a login score if they have never logged in before. So scoreboard players add at a logins level 0. So this is going to add 0 to the level of all players. So we're going to say level 0 means that they have never joined before. So if they have a score of level score of 0, hang on. Now we're thinking with tags, guys. Scoreboard players tag at A, add logged in before. So if we put that here, and then here we do scoreboard players set at a tag not logged in before, logins 1, then people who haven't logged in before won't have the tag. They'll have their login score set to 1, then they'll have the tag added, and then this whole thing over here will run as well. So if we quickly go scoreboard players tag Sparks remove, oh, it doesn't tab complete, logged in before, then it logs us in. So that should work. That should do it. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, guys, I think this is kind of gonna work. I've retextured the options thing, and I've moved the texture from myself onto an arm stand and put it on a wall. So if I just teleport to the cell here, you can see that this would be sort of an example of how the start screen would look. So you're inside a cage. You can kind of see out a little bit to a room. You can't move, but you can look around. And on the wall, we have these little scribbled options here. And you can see that I can hover my mouse over a different option to underline it. And the really cool thing is that it only makes a selection if you are looking directly at it. So I can do that. I can go all the way around and do that. I think it's kind of neat. And then we can detect the orientation of the player when they click to select the option. So that's pretty cool. The way this works is there's an arm stand down here, and it is wearing this texture on its head. And then over here, we are executing on players with the correct rotation with a level of 100 to replace item the head slot of that armor stand with the correct damage value of Ho. So it's basically an extension of what we were doing before. We've just moved the selection. It's interesting because it doesn't care where we are. So you can see that right here, I can make the selection even though I'm not looking directly at it. It doesn't care about where I am in the world. So the only reason this works really well is because we can specify exactly where the player is stood, which means that we can calculate the correct X and Y rotation of the camera to make it look correct. So if we moved over slightly or down, then it wouldn't line up anymore. But I think for this sort of situation, when we know exactly where the player is standing, we should be able to handle that. So we'll just have to make sure the player can't move. Got to block over the heads, they can't jump. We'll give them a strong slowness effect, and they should find they're only able to look around the cell, and we'll have some ambient music and or background sound effects playing, like I don't know, air conditioning humming or bubbling or something like that, and that will be the start screen, and they can click one of these things. I'd like to make it so that if you click options, it will display options, or if you click video terms, it'll list conditions for playing the video on the wall here, which we should be able to do fairly easily. In fact, let's try tackling that now. I think the only option I can think of right now, feel free please to suggest things which should be changeable in the options menu, because you can control the sounds, like the sound effects and stuff, from the in-game sliders, would be ambient particles. Like I've mentioned before, I'd quite like to make this game look really nice and pretty, but I don't want to overload people's computers if they don't have a good thing. So for example, I'd quite like to have little streams of water dripping off certain parts of the level, and fireflies, things like that, ambient particles, which some people's computers might not be able to handle. So maybe there should be a way of turning that on and off from this options menu. So I think what we ought to do is we should put something in here that can detect when we click, pretty much the same thing as our villager bubble. And we should try and switch this over to another options menu. Oh, by the way, I changed the third-person head slot settings, the values, because before it was making it invisible for third-person head slot. So I actually managed to open Cubic Pro and use that, and it was so much easier because you can just rotate it so that it looks right. So I'm just going to quickly create a ambient particles on, off, and back thing, and stick those on the wall. I thought there was a piece of fluff on the set cooldown for attack sign there, but I think it's just the orientation I'm looking at the name tag in. That was really weird. I thought there was like a little fluff particle or something there. So I've added a new objective called menu tree, which we'll use to work out where in the menu selection the player is. And then if we go to the right click, wait, it's left, yeah, right click, no, left click. We want the left click tab, this one here. So left click. So here we want to add if the player's level is if the player's level is 100 and their menu tree level is 0 or something, then we will move them into, we'll change their menu, and then we can add different menu options over here. So this is literally triggered by damage dealt, so all we need is an invisible villager in there. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've just done this for the 3 options. I'm pasting these in and I'm giving each of them a different menu tree value. So I'm taking the R and X and Y values from over there with the level of 100, and then I'm adding the menu tree score of 0, meaning they're in the top level menu, to set the menu tree to 3, and then I just go over here and I grab the coordinates for that orientation, like so, and then I go and paste it in here. Like so. So now when we right click, it should change our menu to 1, 2, or 3, depending on which one we click on. We do still need an invisible entity to punch in this cell. He's not doing a great job of being invisible, is he? That's right, we've got to use the invisibility effect. And also summon him a bit lower. Okay, we've teleported into the cell. We can look at the options. We have a villager at our location. You can see him there. So now when we click, we should have our menu tree set to 1. Crap. For some reason we're not clicking the villager when we're in here. But when we're back here, why is it not registering a new click? It's because I'm not on the ground. I need to land to reset it. And I'm teleporting myself to a location that is slightly above the ground. Damn. Okay, now I'm on the ground. If I click play, it's registering the click, but it's not setting my score. Oh, I need a menu tree score of 0, at least 0 first. So when the players log in, I'm going to set their menu tree score to 0, so that they are at the outermost point of the menu when they join the game. And I'm setting my own score to 0. Right, let's try this again. 1. Now it won't let me click that one to change to 2 because we are currently not in menu tree 0. But if I set it back to 0 and I click this one, it should say 2. Yep. And then this one should be 3. Fantastic. I'm going to have to set up the swipe particle effect thing to not do it if our level is greater than 99 as well. Starting the game actually doesn't open a new menu tree, it just starts the game, but I suppose we can use the score of 1 on the player to detect that they want to start the game, so we'll leave that as menu tree value of 1. Okay, so I've added 4 new textures to the texture pack for the different diamond hoe values. So we're going to change this over so that this only works if the menu tree score is 1. So score menu tree equals 0 even, not 1. Same for this one. And this one. So that should still be working. Yep. And then we add a new selection for the menu tree of 2, which is the options menu. So we can copy this and put it here. We're going to run out of room in a second. And then we change this so that it's menu tree equals 1 score menu tree min equals 1. We'll have to work out what the radiuses are for this in a second, but for now we'll leave it like that. Level is 100. Replace item with diamond hoe of 4, I think we're on now. So now we should find that when we click options, it does nothing because we have a menu of 2, not 1. My bad. So now, there we go. We've got some options. I think they need to be a little lower on the wall, but I can modify that. So this is the first texture, which is ambient particles on and off. So we'll need to change it so that if people hover over these two, they can switch between them, and then if they go down here, it says back. So, but that seems to be working. So if we set our menu back to 0, it goes to these, and then when we click options, it doesn't work until we move. We have to make sure that when you click options, that is an area where these options will still be visible. I also think they should be a little lower on the wall. Actually, they're probably okay there. I don't know. I can always transform them down, I think. So we should be okay. I'll just do the rest of these. Actually, I'll just show you how I'm getting the coordinates. So I just look at the orientation of the camera up there. So if I want to say that on can be selected anywhere between here and here, and then off anywhere between here and here, then I just look at the X and Z for those 2 points and type them into the command block. Pretty simple. And then I'll have a little detection box for down here as well. I'm going to give the on and off quite a wide selection range so that we make sure that when the person clicks options, it will definitely move to the options menu. Okay, I've done a bit of a thing. I've added an ambience scoreboard, and you can see if I change it to 0, it switches to that texture. If it changes to 1, it switches to that texture. It's a bit unintuitive because 0 is on and 1 is off, but this way I can have it so that when a player joins the game, it adds 0 to their ambience score. So if they're joining for the first time, it sets it to 0. If they've set their setting before, it doesn't change it, and that way we can have... What did that do? Oops. We can have it so that by default the ambient particles are on, because I would like them to be on by default. So this way, regardless of where we're looking, it will display our current ambient choices. If our ambient score is 0 and we hover over off, it will change the texture, and if our ambient score is 1 and we have it and we hover over 1, it'll change the texture. And then we've got 2 separate textures for back. We've got back with off highlighted and back with on highlighted where it's underlined. So I've just removed the radius things from this, and now I just need to do the highlighting for each of the 2 options as well. Okay, so I've got the on-off highlighting working. So currently my ambience is 0, which means if I move off it, it will automatically jump to on, showing the current selected option. And then if I hover over off, it will highlight off. And if I change the ambience to 1, then it will stay on off unless I highlight the on option. I think this is working pretty nicely, actually. I still need to add click detection, and I quickly need to add the back as well. So you can see it's basically just same thing as before. We've got a 4 is the diamond toe damage value for the yes, and then at the start here we've got the X and Z, the Y min and max, and then the same thing over here with a slightly different Y min and max with the damage of 5. And then for back, there are 2 backs. There's on back and off back. So we just need to detect the orientation of the selection box, and we also need to display a different texture depending on what the actual ambient value currently is. So that's just 2 more command blocks. I need to move this line over because it's now in the way, and really it should go over here anyway. I guess it can go down here. Okay, so we've got one here with a texture of the value of 6, which is the back on. So we've got the selection area here for the back button, and then at the end here we've got if ambience equals 0, which is the on setting. So I'm going to copy this, put this down here, change this to 7, which should be the texture for back with off, and then we just need to change the ambient score to min equals 1 here. So now we should find that, yeah, back off is highlighted. We can go to on and it switches back to off when we go to back, because that's the default. If we change our ambience to 0, then we should find that it switches to the on back. Fantastic. Look at that. Doesn't that just feel nice? I think it does. I think we need some sort of tactile feeling when we click, but apart from that I think we're good. So we just need to get these 2 coordinates and put them on the click clock to change the ambience score for us, and then I think we're done. So we're going to execute at all players with these values to scoreboard players. Oh, hang on, we don't need to execute at all. We just scoreboard players set at A with that selection, which is the on one, I think, to ambience of 0, which is on. And then we just copy that and change that to 1, and then get the coordinates for the off one, which I think is this here. Like so. And that should be ambience on and off. Ambience on. Ambience off. 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 There we go. So let's just take a look at that and see whether clicking now works. Teleport ourselves to the cell. Click on. Click off. Aha, look at that. Oh, that feels so good. Isn't that awesome? Oh, and we also need to do click, have the back click work as well to set our menu score back to 0. I'll quickly add that as well. Okay, let's just check that back button works. Back. Oh, look at that. Did you see that? Options. Change ambient particles to on, go back. Options. They're still on. Oh, they've switched back to off. Why is that? Set it to on. Go back. Options. It's setting it back to on. That's weird. I must have something done wrong here. Oh, do you know what's happening? I'm clicking in the same spot that off is at. So if I click on options from here, it will probably set it to on. Yeah. Okay, we need a delay, or we just need to move where those buttons are so they're not in line with the options button. But that's pretty cool, right? Look at that. I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a little too low. That's minus 90. Oh, no, that's minus 20. Okay. Let's try minus 10. That's a little too low still. Let's just do minus 5. It should still take it out of the selection area. So if we just go back, options is up here, and yeah, they're much lower. So that should fix it. I'll just change the translation on all of those textures so that they're 10 lower. 10 watts, I don't know, but they're 10 something lower. Or 5 something lower. 10 halves of something. Okay, so I should have translated all the options now. So I should be able to click on. Yep. I should be able to click off. Should be able to click back. Nope. I'm not sure why I can't click that, because it's set to do it between X14 and 23, which 17 is. Oh, it's working, but it's not updating the texture till I go up here, because there's no selection down here. There's no, because I could go down here and nothing changes the texture, so I'm gonna have to have it automatically switch to one of these 3 textures if I'm not in that radius, I think. Maybe the play one should be highlighted by default, although then it will always jump to play if you are not hovering over anything. So perhaps I should just add the 3 options with none of them highlighted and have that as a texture. I'm also going to label these because it's starting to get confusing. I'm just going to change the RX for the video terms selector from 7 to 25, and that should now put video terms as selectable from quite low down. So it's going to stay on video terms all the way down there, but if we go to play, then we can go and approach it from down here and it'll still highlight it. I don't think it's too big a deal. It doesn't stop people being able to properly click these things. So options, ambient particles on, back, and yeah, it updates now. So that was the problem. So that's off. It doesn't always detect the click properly, which is a little annoying, but not bad. Not bad. And then video terms will just display text on here, on this wall, or possibly on all 3 walls. I don't know. But that's kind of cool, I think. It's a good start. I think that's going to be it for this episode. Next episode, or possibly in a live stream, or possibly both, I'm going to try and focus on building this starting room. So the room you can see from inside the cell, I'm going to retexture these walls so it doesn't look like iron, get the bars looking more like cage-like, and have some sort of room built outside this cage, maybe a few other cells, things like that, so that we get this feeling that we're in a room, and possibly play with some custom background sound effects as well. Make sure that the game connects you to this room at the beginning of the game, kind of thing. So a lot of texturing and modeling, either off camera or on. Haven't decided yet. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we tackled something kind of new and different today, which is kind of nice. I like to shake things up a bit, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.